talked about how one decade can be like a life, one year can be like a new life, and we can really see our lives as being full of so much variety and potential for change, new situations, new ways of looking at the world, that we really don't need to project out one view of our whole lives and just like imagine that this is my one life and this is the way it's going to go. Of course, we know that we can't predict what's going to happen in our lives, but sometimes it seems like I just get this idea of, okay, this is kind of what's going on. I don't know the details, but I sort of get a general idea of what my life means, how I'm going to look at it, and then can just project that out into the future. But then when I look back on my life, it just seems like there's so many different stages where I was looking at things in a completely different way. And so much so that I can't really even project the way I look at things now. I can't imagine how I'm going to see them later. And I like thinking of things this way. It feels like I have more than one life. It feels like I have a chance to experience different lives. And as time goes on, I will change enough that my experience of life will be so different that it's as if it's a new life. So now I'm thinking, well, we have this, I can imagine this on the decade level, on the year level, but what about bringing it into even more proximate time, even the more short term? What about the week? Imagine a week as being this unit of time in which I make one way of life. I have a certain way of life. I live a certain way. I do things a certain way for that week. And then the next week, make adjustments and things are different. And then I go out and live a new life. Now, maybe calling it a new life every week, maybe that's going too far. You could think of it as being like a new level. Every week is like a new level. And I pick a week because it just seems to be a built-in cycle that we have weekdays and weekend. And whether or not, I mean, I like seven's a good number. I like seven, but whether or not, it's the ideal number of days to make into this short-term cycle, it's so built in with what's around us, the people's calendars for work and for social events. And so much tends to align with this weekday and weekend cycle that it does seem like a natural system. So we have this 7-day cycle, and on the weekend is when I like to take a complete break from working. I like to have one day to have just a maintenance day, not do any regular business on that day, and to take care of all the maintenance and really have a day to refresh and get everything ready to go, sorted out, and so that I can sort of have a renewed feeling when I start the new week. And then I go out and do the week. Throughout the week, we have so many things happen. There's what we learn from our own activities, the success and failure, the different incidents that happen through the week. And then there could be external events, things changing in the environment around us, which, this 2020 has certainly been a year to hit us with surprises in that sense, external surprises, external from just outside our ordinary lives, that we have these external events forcing our hand in certain ways. And so these external events, and also just from our personal events and the way our work goes, we have this week, we do things a certain way, we live our life a certain way, make the surge. It's like we go out and we do a chunk. It's a chunk of work that we get done that week. And then the week ends. whether at the end of a successful week of work or just a week of a lot of frustration and wasted time. But either way, the week will end. We come back to reconsider, to refresh everything and renew. And then the next week when we go out, well, we're doing it again, but it's not exactly the same. Every time we sort of go into that, we have that rest, and then we go out back and start that week again. Every week it's a little bit different. We've learned something from that week before, and we can make adjustments every week. So once again, pretty obvious thing, but I like to think of it this way and really let each week be different. Let each week be a new level of life. Let myself make adjustments, renew myself, and imagine living life in a new way. And we can do that every week. So whenever I imagine the life that I want to live, I can start to make some adjustments every week to bring it closer to that. Every weekend, think of how I can get closer, make some adjustments, try the next week out that way, see how it goes, and then just keep iterating. We do it this way. We got 50 weeks in a year. There's 52, but I like to, take 2 as a holiday guaranteed. So, 2 for around Christmas and New Year's. I don't even count those as weeks in the year because that's like the full break of the year. So I just think of 50 weeks in a year. In 100 levels, 2 years is 100 levels, 20 years is 1,000 levels. We have a lot of chances to just keep iterating and improving how we're living. And we don't have to project everything out into, years in the future. We can start thinking 1 week at a time. How can I make this a better week?